Hey guys, Troll9002 here with yet another story from a live chat. I know you guys have been waiting for this since probably last week, and I actually had it done last week. I just haven't had time to get it on video and stuff. So, put your seatbelts on. Here we go. I call it Top Shelf Happy Hour. So, it was a typical Saturday night for me. Home, waiting for the next live stream to pop up on YouTube, knitting hats and watching TV, worrying about the week ahead, knowing somehow it's all gonna be okay. Mom and Dad decide to go out dancing, and that's fine. I don't feel like going out at all. It's been a rough week. When there's a sudden knock at the door, I grab a ball bat, after all. It's the middle of the woods, and who's knocking on my door in the middle of the night? It's Bonnie from Misfits and Dreamers. And Cynthia is waiting out in the car. Bonnie says, "Let's go. There's a party that you would have known about if YouTube would have sent out the notifications for, if they were doing their job." So I grab my wallet and my phone and go. I'm always very careful when I go out and who I go out with, but tonight I just don't care. I just want to go away from here. I hop in the car. "Where are we off to, girls?" "We going to Kentucky. Everyone else is going to meet us there. You know, Karen and Rhonda are taking the booby copter, and everyone else is taking a regular helicopter except for Bob. He's taking the Harrier jet that he parks on the roof. He thinks it needs to be run every now and then, but I have a thermos of coffee and we're just going to drive it." And we start off down the road, and I'm excited, but I'm putting all the pieces together. The big party at Chris England's house is in Kentucky, and we're just now leaving Florida? We'll never get there in time. And so, while the car is going down the road, I feel the need to come up with a way for us and the car to go faster. Coffee. That's it! There was a scientific study done a long time ago that came out with the conclusion that if you use coffee in a hybrid car and mix it with the fuel, it would become as hyper as a child on espresso. But the practice was outlawed years after they stopped making espresso for health reasons. So, I grabbed the thermos of coffee. Mind you, there is more than one thermos of coffee, so it's not the end of the world. I explain the plan while I do it. Experience has told me that if you start explaining a crazy plan like that before you do it, people are very unaccepting. So, I grab the thermos, hang out the window to reach the gas tank, and dump it in. And Bonnie freaks out and was like, "I don't know how to drive fast." And I was like, "Okay, well, this is going to happen fast, so we need to switch." She went to pull the car over, but it was too late. She was going to learn how to drive fast, whether she liked it or not. Suddenly, flames shot out the tailpipe, much like they do for the Batmobile, and the car took off so fast you couldn't even clock it on the speedometer. And it was late at night, the highway was empty, and so no problems. When we passed by cop cars, all they saw was fog, so they never pulled out to chase us. We hit the middle of Tennessee about a half an hour later, and the coffee started to wear off a little bit. And we look up in the sky and see the booby copter with two crazy women shooting cannons and guns like it's the 4th of July or something, and they were aiming for the stars. No, not the Hollywood stars, but actual stars that are in space. You could tell they had something, booze or something. And I don't know who was flying the copter, but I'm almost positive it was Charlie. That was flying the copter. And as we neared Kentucky state line, we passed by the Harrier jet that crash landed in the field, and a person hanging from the tree in a parachute hollering, "Help me!" I look at Bonnie and Cynthia and wonder if we're going to stop to help this person. Bonnie says, "Oh, it's just Bob. This means we'll beat him to the party." And she kept driving. By this time, she had become comfortable with driving at hyper speeds of espresso. We wave as we go by Bob, and he hollers some cat meows at us, and we laugh and keep going. Meanwhile, the crazy booby copter is going to the same place we are, and the wild women in it are still shooting at anything and everything. Finally, we all reach the party house of Chris England, who had no idea to expect all of us because he didn't know we were coming. But it didn't matter, because we were there, and we were coming, and we were there for steak, taters, and top shelf Long Island iced tea now. My mom drinks Top Shelf Long Island iced tea. And the difference between Top Shelf and regular is the difference between the vodka. Top Shelf is Grey Goose, and a regular one usually uses Tito's or very cheap vodka. I recommend getting the Grey Goose. It's well worth the money. The booby copter lands and the crazies disembark off of it only because they're out of ammo. And crap! Bob's still hanging from the tree in his parachute. I wonder to myself, how will we ever get him down? As I walk back to the tree, Bonnie walks with me and Karen too. And there is Bob still hanging out, playing bits around the field behind him, and Bonnie lecturing him about why they can't have nice things and how they were not going to invest in another plane until he became more responsible about flying them. And while Bonnie is yelling at Bob, me and Cynthia call Kendra to see if Nikki's home and if Nikki has a special way to get Bob down from the tree and back to the house quick, because the party's going on and we don't want to miss anything. All of a sudden we heard a gunshot, and we honestly thought that Bonnie had shot Bob, or maybe it came from the plane. Nope, we were so wrong. It was Karen who shot around the parachute, so Bob came falling off the tree branch into Bonnie's arms, and then the plan hatched how we were going to get Bob to move quick. I dig into my purse and pull out my clown makeup and put it on really quick while Cynthia blows up a balloon. Then Cynthia goes running towards Bob hollering, "There's a freaking clown chasing me!" And I am. Bob turns, looks, sees the clown, me, and grabs Bonnie and Karen, throws them over his shoulder. And just like the espresso worked for the car, the clown worked for Bob. He tore off towards the house, getting there in record time, dropping off the ladies and scrambling inside to grab something to beat the clown with. I had stopped running after a minute or two. I'm fat, and I'm not scared of myself as a clown. Anyway, I get halfway there and the sky opens up. Lucky for me, it was washing the face paint off, but it got my foam nose all wet. Oh well, it'll dry. Finally, I make it almost there, and a beaver named Casey pulls up next to me and says, "Hey, get in, we're going to Chris England's house." And so I do, and we go. I grab a sponge out of my purse and I dry off to get back to somewhat normal, dry and human-looking, ugly self. And we pull up to the house, which is already hopping with people, having a good time, drinking, eating, being merry like holiday time. But it's just another Saturday night. Actually, Sunday morning now. Casey gets out and heads to the house. I ponder whether or not to go in there. There are a lot of people, and it's a big house, but there are a lot of people, and just for a minute, I opt to stay in the car. People aren't my thing. When all of a sudden this big cup of tea appears next to me, and this guy says, "It's no fun out here by yourself. Come on in." And then I heard the laugh that made me know that it was a British tea drinker standing next to me, and the laugh was from Rhonda. And that livened the mood and gave me the courage to go in. And so I did, and we partied like there was no tomorrow all the way into Monday. Then I had to get back to my job, which is when I had to face facts that I was broke and had no way to get back to Florida. Until Cynthia brought up the mermaid tail fiasco that I had many months ago, Halloween time. But it could work, if anything. I'd be a little late, but I had to try it. I start eating beans and making yet another duct tape mermaid tail, and strap on some random thrift store roller skates that they had decided to just throw out, so I got them for free. And I was ready for takeoff, and everyone comes out to say their goodbyes. And a spark from a match this time, not lightning. And I was off just as I took off. Is when the big raid happened. Cops kicked in the doors and were arresting people left and right for mixing drinks wrong and not pairing the right wines with the right cheeses or the correct coffee or tea with the crumpets. You know, you have raspberry crumpets with black tea. I guess it just doesn't work and you get arrested for it. Anyway, so an officer sees me take off and he calls air traffic control, and they send military jets after me because they see the Harrier crashed in the field and they assume that I, being a UFO, shot it down. After they start chasing me, the UFO, my anxiety starts, which makes me fart more and more gaseous, so I hit warp speed in no time while being chased. Just as they were about to shoot me out of the sky, here comes Karen and Rhonda in the booby copter flown by Charlie, firing on the helo chasing me. As the gas wears off, as the helo goes off course, Karen gives me the thumbs up, and I just keep going. I was 2 minutes late for work and I had no pants on because they had burned up mid-flight. So I grab a pair off the shelf and tell the girls it's been a long, hard week. I twitched my neck and a little bit, and they understood. Not a word was said, but they knew I had been flying via tail. Just the smell that was coming off of me. That smog smell, if that's what you want to call it. And so I hit YouTube later on that night to check my peeps, and I see all the crazy videos from the crazy party at Chris England's house in Kentucky. Everyone I knew escaped police custody thanks to Crazy Karen in the booby copter and Rhonda, her sidekick, shooting her guns and cannons. Bob had used the rest of his duct tape to put his Harrier back together to fly home, and Bonnie took a Benadryl and flew with Bob. And Cynthia took the car back to her prospective home, where she mailed the car back to Bob and Bonnie next day. Everyone had arrived home safe and sound, except for me. I arrived at work safely. I swore I would never do it again. Not another party like that. And I worked all week, got home Friday night to find that YouTube had sent out notifications of another big party, but this time it was down here in Florida. Well, sheesh. Shorter drive, no coffee. I think to myself, maybe I should give it another try. Why not? Then I actually read the notification, and it had my address. Holy crap! As soon as I said it, everyone arrived. The Harrier, the booby copter, and the crazy espresso hybrid, and the whole rest of the gang. Here we go again. I come back 3 days later, and it was like no one was there. And then the alarm went off. The first party had not been a dream, but the one at my place was. Thank heaven. Back to work I go. Until the big meetup in October, y'all. No parties here. I don't care what the notification says. No parties here. Bob, take care of your Harrier. Rhonda, Karen, lay off the guns. You guys are scary. Y'all have a great weekend. Catch you soon.